What's up guys, Jamie Grace here. Happy Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I don't know when this video is gonna go up. Fun fact, I've been trying to film this video for about 2.5 weeks. But having a baby comes before making YouTube videos, and so like every time I've tried to make it, Isabella's been like, bleh, and she wants to hang out. So I've been doing that instead. But anyways, hi, happy July. I meant to post this the first Friday of July, but let's not get into 8,000 disclaimers on that. I want to jump into what this video is about because we are about to go to church and we got to leave in a few minutes, and I still have to get her changed before we get ready to go. Anyways, you guys have been asking, and I really wanted to share how we came up with her name, Isabella Brave. I'm actually gonna tell you guys like how we gave her full name. I'm gonna start at the end because Isabella is the longest story. And so I'm gonna start at the end and try not to make this a 12-hour video. But if it is, welcome to a 12-hour video. So last name is Collins. It's our family last name. Aaron and I took Aaron's last name when we got married. I really wanted to do that. And so that's how she got her last name, is our family name. Then her middle name, I'm like out of breath from trying to like tell all of this in like 30 seconds or less. I need a nap. Why am I still talking about that? Back to the video. Okay. So she has 2 middle names. Also another ADHD moment for those of you that like are just new to my channel and you're like, oh my gosh, like she just had a baby. This is mom brain. That's why she seems flustered and a little crazy. No, this is just me. I'm just super like all the time. Her middle name, she has 2 of those. Her second middle name is Harper, which is also my second middle name. And Harper is my maiden name, which means it's my last name before I got married and took Aaron's last name. So I really wanted to name my daughter Harper since I was like 17 or 18 years old. I even told my sister, I was like, look, I get dibs on naming daughter Harper, so we don't have, cousins with the same first name. I bought a picture frame for that says like Harper on it. I like bought it for my daughter's room when I was like 21 years old. I love that name. I loved my last name. My sister took it. I kept it rather when she got married to my sister's Morgan Harper Nichols. Yes, the famous poet. And also like we have a band called Harper Still. And my mom and dad just mean a lot to me. I grew up in a small town, and when I get recognized in the town where I grew up, it's not for being Jamie Grace, it's for being a Harper. And so they're pastors in that town, and they just, that name means a lot to me. So naming my daughter, that was really important. But by the time we were picking her middle name, we were already settled on Isabella as our first. And I struggled with naming her Isabella or Harper. I was like going back and forth constantly. And my mom gave me the suggestion. My mom's always coming in clutch. She was like, why don't you just give, my mom was like, since you kept Harper as your second middle name, because my first middle name is Grace. She was like, since you kept Harper as your second middle name, why don't you just give your daughter your second middle name? The same second middle name. That way you have the opportunity and the option with all your other daughters to give them Harper as a middle name if you want as well. And I was like, ideas, yes. So we went with that idea. And then also like, I don't know how much of this will ever get shared, but Aaron has like a really sweet, like just connection with my parents. That kind of goes back to like before he and I were technically official. And so he wanted to honor them by having that last name as a part of our daughter's name as well. Aaron's my husband, by the way, if you didn't know that. There's Google. Y'all, I feel like that was actually really obvious. Anyways, first middle name is Brave. Aaron, again, the husband that I have, he came up with the middle name Brave. Well, he didn't like come up with that word, but he came up with the idea of naming her child Brave early on, when, like right when we found out we were pregnant, like that week. We were going through names, and I pulled out my list that I had had for like 10 years, and it didn't like freak him out. That was really cool. And we went through all the baby names that we liked and didn't like and tried to figure out what made sense for us. And so he said Brave. I said yes. I loved it right away. But the only thing about it for me is like, there are some things about me that are a bit traditional, and one thing, and kind of old-fashioned, and one thing that's kind of like old-fashioned traditional with Southern names is just like, I don't even think this is the official tradition, but I've just noticed that most Southern people, you ask them what does their name mean, and they can tell you a 3-hour story as to how they got their name. I mean, how I got the name Grace, it would take me months to explain it to you guys. Mostly because I wasn't really around, and I don't really remember, fetus life. But anyways, so I was like, I like the name Brave, but I needed to, I just like almost fell off the chair. I was like, I needed to have a long story. I needed to be elaborate. Like I want her to have a meaning behind it. I don't want to just, well, yeah. So I was like, let's save it, but she's not officially here yet, so we'll just save it and we'll just keep praying about what that means to us. And so this sounds kind of weird, but it makes sense, so just roll with it. There was a point in pregnancy where I started realizing that that I was bringing our first child into the world. Just roll with me here. This is how my brain works. I'm the youngest of two. Morgan is my older sister by 2 years. And even though my parents have fostered a lot of children and have helped raise a lot of children that were younger than me, I'm still, as of right now, the way that our family structure is, I'm the youngest. And so, and with that, so much of my identity is in being the youngest sibling. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just who I am. I'm the youngest. I'm the little one. I'm the dorky, awkward, quirky one. Well, we're both awkward. But my sister is the oldest, and she is the firstborn, and she is the one that when all the other kids came into the home that we love so dearly, she's the one that we all looked to for how the home operates and how we are as kids. She was the role model in the home. She was the greatest influence, more than I was, because she's the oldest. That's not how every family structure works, but it's how our family structure works. And so during my pregnancy, I started processing like, whoa, I'm having the firstborn child. And in my mind, the firstborn child is the one that is the leader in the home. They're the first one to teach the parents how to parent. And I kind of started panicking a little bit, and I was like, how in the world am I supposed to raise the oldest child? Because that's not my identity. I don't know how to be that. And I just kept thinking, like, who do I want our daughter to admire? Who do I want her to look up to as far as being the firstborn and setting a good example for all the other children to follow? And I just kept thinking about my sister. And when I think about my sister, she is the epitome of brave. She has championed for me in everything that I have needed and everything I didn't know that I needed in my life. I mean, yes, I have remarkable parents, but our sisterhood has really shaped my life and my adulthood. I mean, literally when I was even pregnant, like most of you guys know, Morgan and I were pregnant at the same time. Her little boy Jacob is amazing. And so she's like 2 weeks ahead. She was a week ahead of me in her pregnancy. I'm like 7 or 8 months pregnant, right? I got really sick. We had to go to the emergency room. I had to get all these tests done. I had to sign all these papers saying like some of these tests could affect the pregnancy and all this stuff. But like, we didn't know if I had like blood clots on my lungs. I couldn't breathe. It was really bad. I didn't tell anybody I didn't tell anybody publicly because it was our family's thing to deal with and we were dealing with it. But my sister is there, more pregnant than I am, advocating for me, talking to doctors, making sure I'm getting the right medicine, talking to our aunt who's a nurse, texting my parents back and forth who were all the way in Georgia, trying to communicate all the information to them. And my husband was there too, of course. He was amazing. And my brother-in-law, he's great. But to see like my big sister never give up on that role as a big sister. She's like, I don't care that we're both grown and married and pregnant, and I don't care that I'm super pregnant and more pregnant than you. I will take the leadership as your older sister always, because that's just who she is. It was just really like, when I thought about my sister and who she is, I kept thinking of the word brave, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's literally like the name that Aaron said, and like it makes so much sense. And when I think about like how Aaron and I, like we just know like the plans that God has for our lives and the plans that we have in our hearts and the things we want to do, the first child into this crazy, beautiful, amazing, exciting, adventurous life, we want her to be brave. And so that's how she got her first middle name, Brave. So that's Brave. And then her first name, I guess she is, okay. Her first name, Isabella. A lot of you guys know I have a song called Bella. 2 years ago, I released an album called 91. I had like 4 minutes before we gotta go to church. I released an album called 91, and on that album is a song called Bella. I was about to say Brave. A song called Bella. And I love that the heart behind that song so much that there's 2 versions. There's a full version and there's a ballad version. And it's interesting because a lot of people ask like, okay, was Bella named after the song? Was the song made for her? Is it a brand new song? Like, where did that come from? And honestly, the word Bella for me, it's more than a song. It's more than a name. It's an identity. It is the definition of who we are in Christ Jesus. I'm a Christian, and I truly, genuinely believe, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, that God loves each of us so much. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, no matter what you're like, no matter anything about you, like when you are loved, you are so loved. And a few years ago, God was really speaking that message into my heart and reminding me of that message, especially when it comes to girls and young women. I have a song called God Girl that a lot of girls all over the world were listening to and singing it in English, and they're like, English isn't even their first language. And I was just so overwhelmed by the process, or the concept rather, that little girls all over the world could sing my song in English that wasn't even their native tongue. And it kind of broke my heart, because I'm like, they have to learn a different language just to sing this song about their identity. I was like, I wish I could speak all the languages for all the girls all over the world so that they could have this song in their native tongue. And I think that'll happen someday. But until then, Bella is the quickest thing that I could do in the moment to help honor and celebrate little girls all over the world. And God really gave me that word. He gave me the word Bella. He's like, look, Bella means beautiful in many languages. And so that's how the song Bella came about. And I knew in that moment that it was more than a song. I knew that it was not just going to be used on the album, and even now it's going to be used in the future. We're not sure all the ways, but I just know that that is something that I want to continue to encourage people with, that word and that name, and to share it. And so again, during the pregnancy, this is right before, maybe a few weeks before we found out the gender of the baby, and this was before we had told the public that we were pregnant, or that I was pregnant. This is me. So I was playing a show, and I'm literally sitting there with my guitar, just singing songs and stuff, and then I get to my song Daughter of the King, and I'm singing the song, and literally, like, okay, here's the thing. I believe that God speaks to us, but it's not always the same way to the same people. It's just not, like, it's not always, you know, like, he doesn't speak to, like, me the same way he speaks to the next person. And he doesn't always speak to me in the same way that he spoke to me last week. And so this is not something that, like, happens to me on just every Tuesday. But I was singing, and God spoke to me, and he said, you're going to have a daughter, and you're going to name her. And I remember kind of like being startled while I was singing. So I kind of like looked at my set list to kind of refocus myself, because I'm like hearing God's voice while I'm singing. I'm like, and I look, and he said, you're going to name her Isabella. I looked at the next song on my set list, and it was Bella. And that was the next song I was supposed to be singing. And I was just like, whoa, like, this is crazy. And I didn't want to, like, I mean, it's hard because, like, I trusted that it was God's voice, but I also was really apprehensive because doubt and being a human. I was apprehensive to, like, go tell everyone, we're having a girl, God told me. And then a week later, it's like, you're having triplet sons. And I'd had to, like, you know, be like, hey guys, that wasn't Jesus. That was just gas. Like, I don't know how I would misinterpret the two. Anyways, I was just like, I don't know. So I talked to my mom about it, and my mom was like, yes, girl, that was from the Lord. Yes, yes. Also, because I think she really wanted me to have a girl and my sister to have a boy, which is what I wanted. My sister wanted. It's what everything worked out. Anyways, so that's how the name Isabella came about. So I took that to my husband, and he was like, yeah. I think he may have mentioned it before, like naming her Isabella, but I think I was nervous because I was like, but what if people think that I just named her that because of the song? And then I was like, you know what? That song is from God. This little girl is from God. Like, no, we're naming our kid what we want to name her, what God told us to name her, what we know is right to name her, and end of discussion. And so, yeah, we talked a little bit, like, Isabella, Arabella, Isabel, like, all those, but Isabella made sense, the most sense. And when I look at her, I'm like, yeah. Sometimes I do forget her name, because it's weird when you name someone. It's like you're expected to remember their name. I don't have anybody to say, hey, what's her name again? That's a little overwhelming, because I'll be like, hey, baby. But, you know, I like her name. Thanks for watching this video, guys. There might be more videos this month. Maybe not. But if you do want more stuff, you can always check out my podcast, The Jamie Grace Podcast, because I don't have to brush my hair for that. So it's way easier for me to get podcast episodes up. The Jamie Grace Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Okay, she's got to change clothes and stuff, meaning I had to do it. Love you guys so much. See you soon. Touch you later. Okay, bye.